How much money would it cost you to buy West Virginia's football program? Well, there's a number that got floated around out there in a report from The Athletic. We're going to talk about that here today on Between Ears. What is up, everybody? Skylar Callahan with another episode of Between the Ears. And before we get started, you already know the rules. Before we get going, you got to make sure you hit that like and subscribe button here on our YouTube page at West Virginia on SI. It keeps us going and gives us a bigger reach for West Virginia fans out there. So we greatly appreciate if you give us a like and subscribe to the channel. You get a notification the second a new episode drops of BTE or the Game Day Show, which will be every Thursday throughout the season, and of course the Mountaineer postgame show immediately after every football and men's basketball game. So this morning, I happened to stumble across something pretty cool, kind of interesting, and something that maybe we should start paying a little bit of attention to, or at least put in the back of our minds as we kind of get more and more closer to this NFL model. And that is what West Virginia's value would be on the open market should it become a purchasable asset. The Athletic ran some figures, ran some numbers, and projected what every Power Four football program's valuation would be as of today. This was a little shocking. In some ways, it is, and in some ways, it's like, okay, yeah, I get it, it makes sense. But West Virginia on this report, again, this was done by Matt Baker of The Athletic. It was a really, really good read. I encourage you to go read it. I'll put the link here in the description. He has West Virginia as the 53rd ranked team out of the 68 Power Four schools at $284 million. Now, you might think 284 million, that probably sounds about right. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's too high. Maybe it's too low. The beauty of this is nobody has any idea as to what these programs would be worth because we haven't ever had something like this before. There's never been a college program, whether it's football, basketball, or the whole athletic department, ever go up for sale. It's just never been a thing. But Ren Baker talked about this briefly during an episode of Three Guys Before the Game and said that maybe it becomes a situation where you have a Green Bay Packers type deal where fans can become shareholders. And with money being as important, more important than it ever has been, and fans being able to play a part in helping their team succeed, I feel like we're trending that direction. Is it going to be a carbon copy model of what the Packers do or something to that effect? Maybe not, but who knows? I mean, anything is on the table at this point. I mean, I think we are so far removed from the old days of just fans showing up for the games, buying gear, buying concession stuff at the concession stand, and that's their way to support the program or and donating to the MAC. Like that, that's long gone. Now, obviously, that's still a part of the puzzle, but it's a much smaller piece of the puzzle than it was 5, 10 years ago. So when you look at where West Virginia falls in these rankings, here's just a few programs that I was a little taken aback by when looking at it. You have, I'll give you the rankings here too. Minnesota at number 28, Virginia Tech at number 31, Northwestern at number 35, Illinois at 36, Indiana 38, Purdue 41, Iowa State 45. Okay, I maybe you can make an argument for that. Colorado 47, or excuse me, Syracuse 46, Colorado 47, Duke 48, Pitt 51, Maryland 52, and as I talked about, West Virginia there at 53. So again, there's no perfect formula for this because there's never been a sale and there's never been an option for this to happen. But they put together this formula, and what they did basically was they kind of inflated the school's valuation if you were in the Big Ten or the SEC because of the prestige of the conference and the situation that those two leagues are in, which is pretty concrete. They're really strong foundations where the ACC, the Big 12, you could make an argument maybe not as strong. I think the Big 12's in pretty safe territory, but you never know. And there's a whole bunch of other things that go into this, conference championships or whatever. They really didn't get into the facilities part of this, which I think would have really helped West Virginia. But again, I can't. I mean, some of these programs. I mean, I understand we're talking about market size, or we're talking about the what market each school would have. I mean, when you talk about, let's just say, even Pitt, for example. Okay, Pitt, honestly, long term has had more success than West Virginia. That is just the truth. No one wants to hear it. No one wants to talk about it, but it's the truth. In the last 50, 40, 30 years, however, wherever you want to put that mark in the sand, West Virginia's been the much better program. And that is also very clear. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But the difference between Pitt and West Virginia, if you're talking about loyalty, you're talking about passion, the fan base, clearly that goes to West Virginia as well. But if the two programs were to go up for sale, could there be more of a market for Pitt than West Virginia? Potentially, because you have Pitt, who's in a big city, who may have more people that is tied to the program or tied to the city that has more money. You may have more of those types of people. West Virginia, probably not. You probably have a handful of people that would be in play for purchasing the team, right? So, in some ways, that's why I'm saying I understand it. But in terms of how much revenue these programs generate, I, I find it hard to believe that Pitt would generate more than West Virginia. And to me, that's a big part of the puzzle. Ren has talked about it at length numerous times that they need to find more ways to drive more revenue. That is the just something that is very that's been out there for a long time. They need to figure it out. And he's talked about how they operate in the bottom half of the Big 12 in terms of their budget, and that they need to get towards the middle of the pack, and they're making progress for that. But still, like you look at some of the other ones, like let's just say a Virginia Tech. In terms of conference prestige, okay, they're not winning that battle against West Virginia. They're in a similar geographical location, working with essentially the same type of people. So I don't see the difference there. And if you're talking about, the prestige of the program overall, the two are very comparable. Very. And again, West Virginia probably gets the edge, but somehow Virginia Tech is ranked at 31. I I'd love to be able to ask Matt Baker specific questions on some of these because I think it's interesting. Now, to be fair to him, he's doing this, putting these numbers into his model, and it spits out what it is. There's no looking at it and saying, well, yeah, West Virginia is at 53, Virginia Tech's at 31, and he's not looking at it through one fan base's perspective. So I let's just be fair there. But Illinois, I mean, again, you have potentially more of a market because you may have people with more people with bigger pockets, but doesn't really seem to stick out to me. Northwestern, same thing. Like Northwestern football, like how are they driving revenue? Is it just because they're in the Big Ten? That has to be the only way. They don't have this big time passionate fan base. They haven't been a above average football team except for a handful of years here and there. Um, Duke, really? Duke? Like, I mean, Duke basketball, yeah, for sure. But Duke football, listen, folks, I've seen plenty of Duke football games on TV. They're always on TV down here in North Carolina. So I get that game on our local channels just about every single game, and there are a ton of empty seats. Maybe it's an ACC thing outside of a couple of schools like Florida State and Clemson, but to me, having Duke ahead of West Virginia, bogus. Maryland ahead of West Virginia, even though it's one spot, bogus. So I don't know. I'd like to see the explanation behind some of those in particular. Duke, Virginia Tech being so far ahead of West Virginia makes no sense. Northwestern, Purdue, Pitt. So I'd like to know the explanation, but probably won't get that. So let me know what you guys think about this. This is an interesting topic again because at some point this could come into play. Maybe not in the same way the NFL has it, but fans are going to become a bigger part of the puzzle than what they've ever been. And if this were to hit the open market in some way, shape, or form, I have a hunch that West Virginia would be a little higher on that list. I don't know that they'd be top 25 or top 30. I'd say they're probably somewhere in the middle of the pack, probably like between 35 and 40. So I'm not talking this massive misread. I think they're, 10, 12 spots lower than what they probably should be. I just question some of the programs that are projected to have a higher valuation. I don't understand how some of those have such high valuations, especially when a few of those are from the ACC. Big Ten, if we're just talking about conference prestige, I get that. I get it's probably going to have a much bigger, it's gonna weight much heavier for them. Still, Purdue over West Virginia, like I don't know. Maybe I'm completely wrong on this, and this is not my space. I'm not someone that's well versed in purchasing, an organization and understanding market value to that extent. I understand market value in terms of contracts in the NFL, the NBA, MLB, stuff like that. But when we're talking about purchasing an organization or purchasing a program, I'm not too well versed in it. But this is just my initial feelings, my initial thoughts on it. It's surprising to me. So, where do you think West Virginia should rank? I would assume higher than Pitt, right? Assume higher than Maryland and Purdue and Virginia Tech. I put them 35 to 40 probably is the best range I would assume, but let me know in the comment section here on YouTube, and that'll do it for us here today. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode of Between Eers. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and you'll get the notification as soon as it drops. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you back here tomorrow.